You're helping to design a temporary bridge for access. You help design a
Mhm.
temporary support system for some heavy equipment. ASCE is essentially an American Association for Civil Engineers. It's a large group where civil engineering professionals come together. They share knowledge. They do
You
seminars.
should also prioritize your well-being, your personal life, and yeah, you should know how to balance it in a healthy way.
Math isn't just a problem, isn't that barrier to pursue the STEM fields.
In terms of aesthetic, but in terms of what's the meaning of those material, how you put them together, and what kind of atmosphere or effect does it create.
About AI and having and needing a human judge, like human judgment over artificial judgment.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to We Talk A Lot podcast, episode 5. And today we have a special guest, which is Wong Bro. He is a very civil engineer working in the United States, and he has many experience and inspiring stories to share to some of the audience. Please say welcome to Wong Bro.
Hello, Mom.
And today our main topic we might be focusing on like the STEM field. As we know, STEM is a very innovative subject, and I think it is very competitive as well. So Mon Prakal will be here to like share some of her experience. So before we started, I want to like hear some of her experience and some update about Mon Prakal, and he also can like introduce himself to the audience to let them know. Yeah.
My name is Fuzzy, you already know because he just introduced me, and I'm happy to be here to share my experiences. So to start off, I guess what we're doing is pretty much I think we're trying to learn more about my experiences leading up to where I am today. So I'll just start. I did my bachelor's in civil engineering in Cambodia at AUPP. It's a dual degree program at the University of Arizona. I had the opportunity to come to the US once before for a summer for some lab programs for to finish my degree essentially because apparently there were no lab classes that were available back home. So it's a good opportunity for me to come and explore as well. And I guess you might want to know why I choose engineering. Mainly it's because I do not like artsy stuff that much or arts majors because I feel like I hate reading stuff and writing all those stuff. So I like numbers more, and I've noticed that ever since my high school years. The only reason I chose civil engineering was because it was one of the big thing in Cambodia. I guess you could say that back then when a lot of development and infrastructure was happening. So that's why I decided to choose civil engineering. And as you all may or may not know, civil engineering has many branches as well. I specialize in structural engineering, which is a branch of engineering where you obviously you could see like how you build buildings, bridges, all that stuff. So so yeah, I did my 4 years in Cambodia in the AUPP. After I finished that, I straight away looked for a master's degree, and after many conversations, my mom always wanted me to come to the US because she she thinks of the US very
Yeah.
highly. So and I would agree with her as well. So
So yeah, that's a pretty interesting introduction. So I was wondering that before you became before you chose civil engineer, was there any like other STEM subjects that you were considered of? For example, like computer science or maybe mechanical engineer.
I would have chosen mechanical engineering if it was offered at the university that I chose. Computer science really didn't interest me that much yet. I didn't really get into computers until a little bit later on, but it's something that grows on me, and I think it grows on everyone just because everyone sees how much potential that field has.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm glad that I chose civil engineering right now because I think it has offered me the opportunities that I have right now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mhm. So do you think it is more about like your talent, like innate talent, or you just like want to chase that dream? It's something that you're just passionate about doing it.
It's something that I've chosen and I'm stuck with it, so
Mhm.
I'll ride it through. To
Yeah.
be blunt.
Is there any point of the during like the middle of the way that you're planning to like quit civil engineer that say that, oh, this isn't the right major for me. I should have shown something better, something else better.
No, I think it's always been the one. It's always something that's like I've always learned something new, but after like coming to the US, it kind of like opens my eyes a little bit more what engineering has to offer besides civil. There's a lot of different engineering fields, as you may already know, electrical, mechanical, aerospace, architectural engineering is also a thing. So yes, it opened my eyes a little bit more, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting topic to talk about, and especially I feel like STEM field is a very broad subject, and when it comes to STEM field, most people think the most I think is about the math. They think that some people they couldn't study STEM subjects because they're afraid that they couldn't do good in math or physics, and yeah, that's the reason why they decided not to study STEM subjects. And one regard, do you have like any add-on to that? Like, is math is really important in the STEM field as a civil engineer?
Yes, it is very important. So in undergrad, usually to finish a STEM degree or an engineering degree for that, you need to take multiple classes related to math, like calculus, calc 1, calc 2, pre-calc, all that stuff you need to know. Some of the stuff you already learned from high school. And then once you progress higher into your degree, you start to go into like more advanced math, more differential equations, derivatives and all that stuff. I know it might bring back some bad memories for you guys. But for anyone who is considering engineering degree and is scared because of math, I would say it's not that crazy. It's not as crazy as you think it is, unless you're designing spaceships or something. Probably it'll get very challenging, but it's not something to be afraid of. Unless
I
you're
think it's
also,
more about discipline, right? Discipline.
yeah, you just need
Yeah.
to learn through it. And
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure if you commit to something, you can definitely achieve it. So
Yeah, true. Uh, do you have anything else to add on, or did I, or maybe
Yeah.
more?
I kind of have a question. So leading up to your grad journey, let's say that your grad journey in the US, were there any activities or projects that you did in your undergrad that made you prepare you for grad school? Or yeah, like some things that you've done that prepared you for grad school, essentially.
So for my undergrad, unfortunately in Cambodia, there weren't like a how do you say this? It's more like an organization where students or professionals can meet up and like become mentors or mentees like that. And then they would learn from each other that way. And there would be like some competitions that you can do like in those engineering fields. Say for example in the US, if I was here in my undergrad years, there is essentially an annual competition provided by ASCE or AISC or ACI. I know those are acronyms that are not familiar for you guys because so ASCE is essentially an American Association for Civil Engineers. It's a large group where civil engineering professionals come together, they share knowledge, they do seminars, they do presentations annually and all that stuff, but there are also like student bodies that are part of those organizations and they're pretty much in every university in the US here. So say for example, the American Concrete Institute, ACI, they do an annual concrete canoe. So it pretty much brings students together to come together, build a canoe essentially made out of concrete, and you're gonna be on that canoe and you're gonna be on a lake or something, and you have to pretty much prove that your canoe will float or something like that. There are also like different competitions like creating steel creating steel bridges and designing and working on your calculations yourself with like your professors or industry professionals. So I think if I had that opportunity when I was in my undergrad, I'm pretty sure it would be like a very fun thing to do.
Okay. And following with that question and that kind of what we're going to talk about, I kind of want to ask if, well, you have said that in America, civil engineering is essentially more established as a field compared to in Cambodia. So would you also say that it's more competitive in the US compared to Cambodia?
I wouldn't say it's competitive compared to Cambodia. I think it's just more opportunities. I wouldn't say it's necessarily more competitive than the other. It's just the
Mm.
opportunities that I guess brings me here instead of finding a job back home. I get better pay here.
Mm.
I can like afford to live here. So with the salary, but back home, I'm pretty sure with all the high prices now, it's kind of hard. So
Okay.
Was there anything that surprised you when you're working in the US STEM industry compared to Cambodia? Yeah.
I have not worked in Cambodia for an engineering firm, so I can't really say. But what I can say is that working, especially working corporate here in the US, you start to realize how much money is moving around. The scale of things are a lot bigger than you think.
Mm.
For me, during my internship experience, I'm glad that I got with the company that I'm at because for me, I feel like they put a lot more responsibilities on interns. Whereas like I've heard from other companies, they treat interns like, oh, you're just here to have fun. We're just looking at you. We're kind of like holding your hands a little bit more, but here they give you a little bit more freedom and more responsibilities with your work. So it's better that way.
I have a follow-up question. I've always been interested in to know what it's like to work in the US. So especially for your field. So would you like mind running us through like a typical day of your work? Like what do you do like
Okay.
in your work?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I know that so well. A day in his life.
Yeah, I sometimes come back home and complain to her about
Yeah.
work stuff, but
Okay.
essentially, I work more in the office. So I'll start about what I do at work first then. I'm a structural engineer. And in structural engineering, there are like kind of like sub branches. One where you work on designing permanent stuff. Permanent stuff meaning bridges, buildings,
Roads.
power plants, roads, all that stuff. The finished product, right? So what I work in is what it's called temporary engineering or construction engineering, where it's essentially still structural engineering, but you're kind of like helping the process of construction, say for like you're helping to design a temporary bridge for access so that construction guys can go and work. You help design a temporary support system for some heavy equipment, something like that. So it's essentially the same principles. And that's why I'm mostly in the office. I work a lot more with numbers right now, but I think fast forward the next couple of years, I might get transitioned onto the field a little bit more because I think that's what my company does. They try to get people a mix of office experience, field experience, especially field experience, because I think it's also really cool that you get to see what you're working on, see what your design is, and in construction engineering, like your design comes up like really quick. It's very fast paced rather than permanent design where you like design something and then things change and it takes a couple of years for it to finish. So yeah, that's essentially what my day in the life is. I spend more time in the office than anything else.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's pretty interesting. So yeah, I think working in a STEM, you get to do a team projects. So meaning most of the time you will have to work with a team. So is there any like way that you cope with that? And is it true that you're always working in a team, or most of the time you work alone?
So that's a good question. Usually a project has a project lead or a project contact person, right? So usually if a project needs something to be done, they'll contact that person. That person relays information to other engineers in the office like me. And that project contact person is usually a professionally licensed engineer. So to become a professionally licensed engineer, you need a degree from a accredited university in the US and also have 3 years experience at least to be able to take the licensure exam and get your license essentially and become a professional engineer who can stamp on drawings or designs. But usually, yes, you will be led by like a sort of like a team leader who will help you along the way. For me, usually I would be normally given like a task work to do. Oh, I have to review this, I have to design that. I will usually like talk to the project lead about what I need to do, and any questions that I have, and especially like in my field anyway, or in my company, communication is like very big because like one mishap of communication can cause a lot of delays, and in the US, like a delay for a construction project can cost a lot for the company. So Yes, it's very important to work as a team here.
I see. Yeah, teamwork is very essential, I think. Yeah.
While we're on the topic of communications, what do you think are some important skills set needed in STEM field? Coming from me, because in business field, people say, "Oh, networking, networking." So, what is the one skill that comes up to you in your field?
It really depends on what you want to do.
Mm.
So as an engineer, you can either become more of like a go more of a technical route, or go more the management route. Either way, you're gonna go up the what you call a corporate ladder. So right now, for me, I feel like getting all the technical expertise, getting all the technical skills that would help me develop as an engineer is a lot more important. And as you grow, I think you'll get like opportunities to go through management school, and then you can start like managing teams. You build your own small team, like 3 or 4 or 5 people. Then you start growing, and then that's how you become like managers and all that stuff.
So you would say that at the current stage of your career, hard skills or the technical stuff is more important.
I wouldn't say it's one or the other. It's always
Okay.
a mixture.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
for me right now, obviously, for me to become like a licensed engineer, I need those technical skills. So
I see.
I have a follow-up questions on the topic of STEM or specifically engineering. So saying there's potential Cambodian youth who are interested in pursuing engineer majors, what are some of the software should they become familiar with?
it really depends on what kind of engineering you want to go into.
Yeah, I think for like
But-
computer science, you have to like use different software, and civil engineering, you might have to use
what
different
about
pieces of system. Yeah.
your structural engineering?
But for us, the most basic software you need to know at least is AutoCAD. I think that goes for most of engineering majors, electrical, mechanical, all that stuff. Like CAD softwares, computer aided design softwares are really important because it helps you visualize what you want, what your design or what your engineering is. So I think that's the first step. And then you start sort of like branch out into like, say for me, I'm a structural engineer. I need to know like more structural analysis softwares, which you learn on the way. But it's different for different engineering fields. I can't really pinpoint exactly which one is.
Pankaj, you mentioned earlier that your company that you're working at currently was also your internship company. So I want to know what's the difference of responsibilities between when you were interning versus now that you're a full-time worker at the same company.
Well, the big difference is now is that you feel the responsibility more, obviously. You start to feel the pressure of deadlines, you start to feel the pressure of like project costs. As an intern, you're kind of like, it's whatever, I'm gonna be here 3 months. But now that you're like a full-time salaried employee, it's you feel the pressure a little bit more. But it's nothing that
Responsibilities like it's a lot more than when you were an intern, or more or less around.
yeah, you get a lot more expectations from you.
So do you think that your current situation, like working right now, you have a good balance between personal life and like the working?
Say again.
Do you have like a good balance between a personal life and working as an engineer?
Some. Well, I go to work 8 to 5, come back home. Sometimes I relax, sometimes I play some video games. On weekends, we go out, get some food. You always gotta like de-stress somehow. You can't always be always running on 100%. So,
Yeah.
and it's also really important. It's a really important point that I would like to raise up too, because like in the US, employers, when they see you working really hard, like pushing yourself 100% all the time, they see that as a red flag.
Yeah.
Earlier, Bong Prakop also mentioned about like if you're bossing that you're overworking too much, I think that's more of a red flag, because like sometimes as an engineer you also need some relax to like get some inspiration and to like get your brain refreshed. And yeah, I think it also applies to like different type of jobs, and even in studying, if you're just studying straight for 5, 6 hours per day, I don't think you could get any good result, rather than
Yeah.
you kind of apply like Pomodoro technique, if I don't mistake. Like you set it like for like 20 minutes and you take a 10 minutes break and it allows your brains to like regenerate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a concept in economic that is similar to what you're saying. You guys are saying it's called diminishing return, which means that at a certain point, even if you try, even if you hire more workers, you're actually going to produce at a less rate, like at a slower rate. So you got to know your point and stop somewhere, essentially.
Oh, so talking about that, one Brakov, I want to hear like, do you have any like source of inspiration when you're like feeling down or lacking of ideas when it comes to like designing projects?
Inspiration for design is always, you can always go back and look at like previous designs that other people have done before, and you try to understand what they're trying to do, why this is done that way, and why this calculation is showing that, oh, this will be fine, or anything like that. You can always refer back to like other people's previous work, because most of the stuff usually like you can see like in bridges, for example, a lot of stuff gets reused until there's like a major innovation that needs to be made, or a major change in design code or standard. Not sure what you meant by like when you said when I'm feeling down. Does that mean like
Maybe like creative block. Like there's
Like sometimes you're feeling burnout,
Unmotivated to work.
Yeah, unmotivated to work.
like you cannot continue
Well-
or like feel stuck. I don't know.
well, at work, if I feel like I need a break, I would usually take like a 5-minute walk around the office, go get a coffee or something. There's always
Maybe as your motivation.
Who?
maybe
You
what?
can
Oh.
hungry.
Yeah, they don't like being touched, so I only can just look at them, I guess.
Well, they has been a very good friends in terms of emotional support.
They're good
So
company.
yeah, they're good company. So I have this question related to your how do I say it? Your relationship with your workers, because considering I think you are the only Southeast Asian person, at least in your branch, working there. I mean, how do you communicate with all these people from a diverse background? You have your coworker from different countries too, and how you guys work as a team to achieve a goal, let's say something like that.
I guess as a team for work, I would say this is normal communication, because we're talking essentially about the same thing, engineering, and everyone understands that in the office.
Okay.
So I guess that's like, I guess for me, I guess I don't have a problem speaking English.
Yeah.
And I don't really have an accent, so they understand me like pretty well. So it's not really anything that difficult for me, apart from like the cultural stuff. Like here, people are like very passionate about like
Sports.
like
Yeah.
basketball, American football. So it's something that I'm kind of out of the loop of, but it's just whatever.
I know we've been switching a little bit around like working life and studying life, but I'm interested. I don't know if this is too personal for you to share. If you think it is, you don't have to. I want to know what you did for your thesis for bachelor and for your master's.
So, for my bachelor's, I wouldn't call it a thesis. I would call it more like a final project. So for that final project, well, we had to do some engineering work on it. We had to write a paper on it, but I wouldn't necessarily call it a thesis. But we worked as a group. We were given like a challenge, and we had to come up with solutions to a certain problem. Say, for example, for me, my project wasn't really anything related to structural engineering. It was more transportation engineering and traffic engineering. So I have to use some softwares, some design or engineering theories to come up with solutions on how to, okay, let's say this road has a projected traffic growth of whatever percentage per year, and how much more, how do I say this? How can you make a certain road flow better without
Mm.
causing a traffic
It's like
jam.
about like calculating the like budget. Right?
Some budgeting as well. It was mainly more engineering, pavement designs, traffic analysis. Say for example, like all the traffic lights you see. I'm not sure about what system Cambodia uses for that, but in the US for traffic light systems, it's really important because it keeps traffic flowing without it backing it up and all that stuff. I'm not really well versed in that kind of subject because I'm not in the traffic or transportation engineering, but it was something that I had to do for my bachelor's. But it was it was a fun thing to do. It was more like a project, a team project, and there were a couple of sleepless nights, but it was all fun. For my master's, I did not do a thesis for my master's. It was a lot of more of coursework based. I had the option to do a thesis, but for my I would not have like known any what kind of research that I wanted to do, but I was offered the opportunity to join a research group like at my very last semester, which is unfortunate, but it was mainly coursework. So
Okay. Following up that question. Oh, you want to ask something? Okay. Following up to that question, I'm interested to know how much of the knowledge that you've studied in your bachelor and your master that you're able to apply to your current job nowadays.
a lot.
Um,
I think especially in engineering, it's a lot because you get a lot of well, let's start with bachelor's. For bachelor's in engineering, especially for my field, you learn a lot more of the basics. You get a grasp of many different fields altogether, not necessarily just structural. So you get like transportation in there as well. You get some geotechnical classes in there as well. So you get a little bit of everything. So you pretty much after you finish your bachelor's, you get all the basics that you need. But once I came into my master's program, it was a lot different because you go a lot more in depth into things, and that's where like things gets fun. So yeah, another guess right here.
So earlier, you've talked about like the difference between a bachelor and master. So for now, for me personally, I've heard like many seniors they said that during their bachelor they only learn the foundation, which you already said it, and I think it is true. And they said they tend to learn more in the work industry. You know, like sometimes they just like learn on the spot, and sometimes they are not even aware of that specific like program, but they have to do it because it's a work requirement and they didn't learn anything at school. They just used some basic knowledge to like aid that thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you're 100% right. Because like for I know everyone knows this, but like obviously like the first 2 years of undergrad, you're really not really taking any of the core courses that you're supposed to be taking, right? You're taking like
yeah, usually
well,
it's foundation. Yeah.
like a lot of
Yeah,
everything, like
yeah.
stuff that you probably won't even need for your degree.
Yeah.
You
For
know?
example, like liberal arts, but I think it's still important like for the whole degree, to like make it a well-rounded degree.
Yeah,
It's about like sometimes hard skill and soft skills must go together.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then you get some basics in there, and then yeah, you get a degree, and then you get
Yeah. That's why some people they go for master like for more in-depth
Mhm.
technical words.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think it's especially important for engineering degrees because I'm like right now for my field especially, I have asked like when I was like interviewing for companies and all that stuff, and I was checking requirements and all that stuff. Companies are looking for a lot more um graduate
Yeah.
master's graduate rather than bachelor's graduate because a lot of the stuff that you use in the industry now you need to go to graduate school to understand them.
Mm.
So,
Um,
along with that, is there any like tips and advice that you would give to like the youth or anyone who wants to pursue, let's say, a civil engineering field or STEM field in general? Yeah, like
Um,
just very broad advice, not need to be too detailed, too deep. Yeah.
what I would say is that overall STEM fields is a really great field to go into. There's a lot of like opportunities, and if you really care, it's quite some money in there as well. So it's a field that I feel like if you're interested in it, you should go for it. Doesn't matter if you're scared of it or you're like bad at math. Because like I've seen people who are bad at math and go into STEM fields and excel. So
Yeah, so that's one of the misconception. Like when they think of STEM field, they always, oh, it's about a math problem. They couldn't do it, so they just don't study it. They decided to study something else. Yeah.
Yeah, I always kind of like have this lingering regret myself because I always tell myself that if I was a little bit smarter, I would have studied computer science. But then I just feel like I wasn't smart enough, so I went to study econ instead. But now I'm kind of like, maybe I should have just tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all got to start somewhere. So
Yeah.
Panya has been very silent.
Very quiet. I'm not
He's learning. The yapper is
Learning.
quiet. What
I
the
think
heck?
Wang Panya is an architect, yeah, he has experience with that. So it kind of resonates to civil engineer. So I think it would be good if like two of you like talk together about like some project designs.
Yeah,
project
one
design.
Yeah.
I think Paul could also work with some architecture, right? As
I
a
think
civil
like,
engineer.
so basically, Panya is more about aesthetic, the
Looking nice.
aesthetic looking nice,
the
looking
humanities of
I think it's about like humanities, like you said, about what is the meaning of that space, or
Functionality.
philosophical, functional,
contact.
Aesthetic.
kind of like that.
While he makes sure that your design actually works and is safe for the
I
people.
just need to make sure that it doesn't kill people.
Yeah,
So I don't get
that's
sued.
Yeah.
Because their ideas, like
Because-
architect ideas are crazy.
When I was in high school, I often got confused between these two majors. And my brother, like, he's in architecture field when he pursued his bachelor degree. And then I got to like understand more about it, like because of him. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I think architecture now, I'm not sure about how the program is back home or in Asia, but here there are some, I would say, what do you call this? Some mixtures between structural and architecture as well. Here I've seen students also take like material classes just so that they can understand how material, like architectural, how architecture students understand material stuff, how materials behave, so that when they come up with a material for a design, that they understand like what's the proper material to use for certain applications. So you're getting a lot more of the mix now with those stuff. So
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting because when, as an architecture student, when you think about material, there's some quality to it. There, in terms of aesthetic, but in terms of what's the meaning of those material, how you put them together, and what kind of atmosphere or effect does it create, rather than. But it is, we do study about what are the limitations of those material, so we know like how to put it together. What's the limitation? Should they go together? But sometimes it's good to, for us, I think we also like to challenge that idea. Is it possible to do this? Is it possible to do that?
how often do you work with architecture?
in my field, no. Because like I said, I work more with like contractors,
Okay.
with the people who build them rather than
Okay.
like the owner, the architect
Okay,
who
okay.
needs to
The
design
designer. Yeah.
something.
Got it. Yeah.
So
Just want to make sure.
unless I go to like a different department in my company where they actually work on, I don't think they design
I-
buildings,
I
but they
think-
design bridges.
Mm,
So
that's good.
Because what I've known so far, civil engineer is a very potential field that actually like people all the time needs it, no matter like even if it involves in AI. We still need people to build a house, to construct a road and stuff, transportation. Yeah. So I also want to shift a bit into like AI stuff as we live in the 4.0 industry.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if like does AI affect your works in any ways? Like does it like help boost your workflow or anything?
can be good, it can be bad. I'll start with the good. Right now I use some large language models, like Microsoft Copilot, which is Microsoft's version of ChatGPT. The only reason we're using this is because it's authorized by our company for use, so that we don't leak sensitive data to external companies. So that's really important for confidentiality. So I use those kinds of AI models to pretty much quickly find information that I need is if I don't really know too much about a certain thing, I would like, oh, explain to me about what this means or what that is. Tell me how I can get this or that, and then it'll pretty much it works kind of like Google, except it summarizes stuff for you. But obviously, like with the use of AI, and as an engineer who designs stuff that affects lives, if some things go wrong, um, we can't really rely on AI for to make the judgment for us. It always comes back to human judgment. Um, that's the thing about AI. I know AI will probably get a lot better than it is today, and it'll probably start replacing a lot of
Many
our
jobs.
workflows, but at the end of the day, I still feel like human judgment is something that needs to be the final pass before it can get a green light to go design something or build something. So I guess that's a good thing about AI. It helps me find information a lot more faster than it is. I also know some stuff about like automation in design. There are like some structural engineers, they work a lot more with like coding and stuff so that they can automate their workflow a lot better. It's essentially optimizing how their design would look like based on certain parameters that they put in there. But yeah, those are some of the good things. The only bad thing about AI right now is that we just don't trust it enough to replace what we do.
Yeah. I think it would be a scary world if we allow AI to fully control everything.
I don't know, we might have an AI president one day.
Oh, that's scary.
I would transport to Mars or like do something. Like I would be there with the aliens rather than the AI.
You think aliens are better than AI, you think?
And do you think alien is smarter than them? Like AI?
Yeah.
I think aliens are smarter than
Potentially,
AI. Yeah,
I mean,
potentially they are way ahead of
you
us.
don't know. You
Yeah,
never
They
know.
could be. Yeah.
I think like
You guys believe in aliens?
If aliens have technology to decide to visit us on Earth, they probably know a lot more than just AI. AI is probably something so novel to them.
Yeah, probably
Something
like,
so normal.
yeah.
So on a side,
So from my perspective, I think civil engineering is a very potential field that as we live in a very developed, fast-paced world, no matter how AI it is, has become more advanced, I think people are still needed to build their house, their buildings, construct the roads for transportations. And yeah, I think it is still an important field that the world needs. Yeah.
So I want to have like a final moment with everyone. So would you guys say your favorite moment in this session?
Oh, like
Your favorite topic that we talked about?
Favorite.
aliens.
No. So the highlight of today's talk to me is probably about the work-life balance, and I hope at least people would get something out of this video today is that you should also prioritize your well-being, your personal life, and that, yeah, you should know how to balance it in a healthy way.
So for me, I think the most memorable moment about from Bon Prokop is that he said, like sometimes math isn't just a problem; isn't that barrier to pursue the STEM fields. Like, I think it is more about self-discipline.
I think my favorite moment so far was the last what Mobrakov said about AI and having and needing a human human judgment over artificial judgment. And I think that resonates with me.
I guess the moment that I can resonate most with is about also a work-life balance between maybe more Western working culture and a more Asian working culture. I'm not sure what's the reason behind it to see like, are you working hard enough or something like that. But I think it's a culture, but also I think it's the personal preference. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it is a good reminder to think about like
Yeah.
which one's more, how to balance those two. It's a good reminder.
For me, it's about Pandi and Pao Pao being the motivation
Yeah, so to wrap up this episode, Bong Prakop, he has shared an amazing and insightful information and experiences, along with his bachelor degrees and master experience, as well as working in the United States with diverse cultures. And I think he has really shown an enthusiasm about civil engineer rather than just like go in the field without knowing anything. So yeah, I think it's a very good, like he also gave many good advices to youth or any like younger generations who want to pursue that field or STEM field in general. I think it kind of resonates somehow. So it is a pretty good opportunities for them to learn and grow and do more research about it. So yeah, thank you for listening to this podcast, and we hope you enjoy it so far. And from We Talk A Lot members, we are very happy and we will be happy to see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye bye.